Alright, so welcome everyone to a game of 5th edition D&D with the Unnamed Adventures Guild. I'm Alex Newton, and I'll be running this morning's game. And let's start with introducing everyone's characters and what they would be doing at this time at the Guild Hall. And we'll start with Christopher.
I'm playing Sly Dog, who is a former sailor, kind of always drunk, and he has been in other dimension, I think, the last many weeks, and he just come back, and he's looking for some work.
Okay. Adrian?
You'd be just checking in to see if there's any requests of note.
Okay. And Machiavelli?
Yeah, Mac probably be at the guild hall just kind of chilling out, maybe practicing some of his psionic abilities, moving stuff around, making things float in the air, that kind of stuff.
Okay. So, you hear a knock at the door. Yeah, so you hear the knocking at the door, and of course people look over and just kind of shake their heads. But the knocking persists.
I opened the door.
Okay, and this is towards the door where people guests come in, not the mercenary door, so that somebody's standing there knocking on it.
Oh, okay. I figured it was the door that everybody just kind of barges into.
No.
Oh,
Adrian,
Mac.
when you look over to the door, you can see, since, well, Sly Dog would see this a bit too, but you would understand it more, being a proper wizard. You are looking at this, and you see that the barriers are actually up. Like, this whoever's at the door is not human, or at least under the influence of greater powers.
I'll go to the door.
Okay. You open it up, and you see this man who's got completely blanked eyes, and he's slumped over a bit, but not too much where it looks like he's gonna fall over, just like he's dazed or confused. When you open the door, he looks up to you, and he offers you this letter, and he's carrying this large bag of coin.
I take the letter.
The other noteworthy thing is that he's covered in a lot of injuries, but he's just drenched in blood. So he seems that he's encountered a lot of combat on his way here, probably for the amount of gold he's blatantly holding. You take the letter from him, and although it is also covered in blood, the paper on it doesn't seem to be like soaked. It still seems to be very not I wouldn't call it clean, but it feels like it's not wet.
Mm-hmm.
When you open it up, it's got a seal on it. If you want to roll a history check.
Okay. 15.
It's an older symbol, something that you know belongs to Illumina. You think it might be a family, one of the older families, but it's without rereading the material, you're not quite sure what its name, what it's for. After opening it up, you see you read the letter, and the letter simply states, "Please approach hidden ruins that is 2 days away from your beloved city. We would like to offer some assistance as well as receive some in return." It doesn't say who wrote it, but there are multiple attachments in this little folded piece of inside this lettering. And you open up, and it shows you a map, and it shows you exactly where you need to go. And on the bottom of the map, it says, "We have provided 20,000 gold. 2,000 gold for any potential party member that you may join you, as well as 10,000 gold for any local charity or shop you wish to donate to. We have another reward set out for anyone else."
I take the letter, and is it possible to take the bag of gold?
Yep.
Yeah. I take it to Pincus.
The guy gives you the gold, and as soon as the gold detaches from his hands, he literally molts in front of you into this heap of just mess in front of you, and the people are like, "What the fuck?" And they step away from the door, and obviously the two, like the patrolling guards, like, "Holy shit!"
Kill him.
It's basically like if you play Doom, when you blow up a demon and it turns to this pile of mulch. That's what it looks like.
So there's some more left, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the guards are like, they come over and they're like, "What the hell?" And they look it over and they're like, they they realize you're the Archmage. They're like, hoping you have an explanation.
I assuming he's an undead that fulfilled his service, so the magical power that was keeping him alive kind of left.
Accurate enough. The guards kind of rub their arms and like, "We'll go get the body cart." And the one guard leaves to go get the body cart.
But it's just that mouse. Can I dust that into the side so it's not anyone gonna step on it
How are you going to do that?
with dust?
Okay. You just gust this like gross pile of flesh off the steps, and it just slides and falls onto the ground.
Oh, nice.
Not exactly your normal delivery service.
Like I said, I take the stuff to Pincus.
All right, you take it up to Pincus, and of course, if any of the objects were cursed or evil, you wouldn't be able to take them in. So, the one thing I'll say is, Machiavelli, were you watching? Like, were you looking at the man while he was waiting to have his gold taken from him?
Yeah, I saw him melt and everything. That's not normal.
Make me an insight check, and using your psionics of sorts.
It's a dirty 20.
You notice while you're kind of watching the man, you immediately notice that he's not in his right mind. And while you kind of search him for any mental impulses, you do feel one, but it doesn't come from him. So you think that whoever or whatever he was mindless on his own.
Hmm. Somebody else was pulling the strings, literally.
You take the possessions to Pincus, and he is obviously a little confused, and he notices the blood-drenched sack, and he says, "Is this some sort of donation, or is this some sort of prank?" And he was writing on some scrolls before, but now he just kind of sets it off to the side.
Payment for service. And I put down the letter in the bag of gold on his desk.
He looks at the letter, and he doesn't need to worry about spell slots because he never adventures anymore. So he just casts Detect Magic on it, and he doesn't sense anything. And he says, "Well, this is strange. Where do you think this money should go to?" And he's, of course, referring to the 10,000 gold that he's now starting to count out.
There aren't that many charities in Illumina.
A whorehouse is kind of charity, right?
Yes. Well, it's charity or store, so.
It can either go to one of the temples, the orphanage, or Stoic's food kitchen.
Well, I think the 10,000 can easily go to. I'm actually drawing a blank.
Why not?
What's your monk's name?
Oh, Alan doesn't need the money.
Okay.
Juwei's taking care of all of his bills.
Well, we can send some of this to Oral. I know he's got this temple that he just built, and I know he needs some furniture for it. You think the guy would have he built the building, but he didn't put anything in it.
He's still building it. It's not going to be done for like another 4 months.
Yeah, but he's going to need it to put stuff in it. I mean, we could send it to we have a crafters section of the guild, don't we? They built that forge.
Yeah, there's a dwarf there that can pretty much make anything.
Yeah, we can send that to them. Let's see what they make with it. And still counting, though. He says, "It's kind of strange, though." I'm going to have Angus make a history check, which he's not going to do well in. He never usually does well in these fucking checks. God damn it. And he says, "I'm not really aware of what the symbol is, but considering the amount of gold that they can dish out, it might not be too bad to investigate."
Mm-hmm.
He says, unless I missed something. I mean, I am cooped up in my office all day.
Well, it was a zombie that delivered it. That kind of melted when I took the money from him.
Well, I guess proceed with caution. I don't really know why any necromancers would be interested in charities, of all things, and donating money for free. I mean, we could just not go. And he kind of just looks it over, and he says, but how boring it would be if we just left this alone." He's still counting the gold, and he says, "Well, you do what you want. If you want to go there and investigate and see what these people want, then by all means. I'm confident in your capabilities.
Yeah, if they are powerful cast, if there is a powerful caster there, it can't be left unchecked.
True enough. Well, I trust in your instincts, so if you decide to go, then that's your choice. I'll set the rewards aside for you and your party members. Of course, with the little discounts. And he gleefully starts counting out his the tax money he's gonna get from this.
Mhm.
You see him counting the 4 different piles. He's like, 3 for you, 1 for me, and he gets this little smile every time he counts 1 for himself.
Shouldn't it be 9 for me, 1 for you?
He says, I like to do things all at once. What are you still doing here? How am I supposed to steal money from you if you're gonna stand there?
I'll go downstairs.
Okay, so you're downstairs and you notice that the door's still kind of open and you can see the guards kind of scraping up the body with a shovel. They have a retainer there with like a mop on the side, just like mopping.
Oh, that's
the floor.
nasty.
The guard's like, and you can see the one guard's like, why do I have to do this? Come on, man. I'm higher ranked than you. You just have to do it. Then he just kind of slops it onto the cart. And take it away. So do you start looking for people to go with you?
Yeah.
So I'll just skip to the part where you ask Machiavelli and Sly Dog to go with you.
Yeah, I'll go. Whatever was controlling that thing out there must have been pretty powerful if they were able to gooify it right after its mission was done. That was a pretty neat trick.
Well, Sly Dog is away right now, so
Still here. I'm here now.
okay.
What happened?
You're getting ready to go.
Let's go.
And yeah, so you travel 2 days to the Hidden Ruins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so you head out to these hidden ruins, and they are fairly hidden. The entrance is mostly submerged in the swamp water, and a lot of the muck covers the ruins. If you were to look at it without knowing this place was there, you'd think it was just some old rundown building. But once you get to the entrance, it is submerged in swamp water, but as you notice that it has been opened recently, as some of the
This area is still in the chaos magic?
no,
Okay.
the chaos magic does not weigh against you here. So you see that the doors have been opened recently as some of the muck has been moved aside, but the water resubmerges it.
Slide dog gonna approach and try to open the door.
Okay. The door is pretty easily movable. Since it's submerged, it doesn't weigh as much as it should, and you pull it open pretty easily.
Well, I'm not going first. I'm not getting turned into gooified liquid zombie paste.
I'll go first.
So once the door opens, the water starts to sift through, and the bit of water, there's like this clump of muck that is sitting in front of the door. Once the water goes low enough, it just stops draining into the building and just sits at the edge. Stepping over that, you guys go and start heading down the temple, and it's quite dark in here.
So we was walking like knee high in the water, right?
No, when you went to open the door, you had to completely put your head under.
Ah, okay. Then I'm gonna take my clothes off when we get inside. Does it dry on my shoulder?
Okay.
So we have a completely naked party member, the co-archmage of Illumina's Wizards Guild, and a dude that's always wearing a mask going into a submerged crypt, basically.
It does have signs that it is some sort of tomb, not a crypt. As there doesn't seem to be any other burials, though you do see some signs of what you think might be an older form of common. This place seems pretty old.
I cast See Invisibility. It lasts for an hour.
Your dark vision is only 60 feet though.
Yeah. But if
Okay.
something's invisible, I can see it.
Yep. So you're looking around, and there are some things that kind of pop out. You do see some different letterings that are kind of above the words that are written in the stone. However, they mean the same thing. Though the invisible writing is in a language that you probably can't interpret.
I got like a 19 for history check on the language, like an older version of Common, because Matt can speak Common. Like, how old is this language?
Is that a flat 19 or is that?
That's a modified 19.
Okay. So, looking it over, this is some of the words obviously stand out to you, which is obviously words you use day to day. Though some other words are a bit older. You would say about 500 years ago.
Okay.
So, but the further you go in, you realize the older the language gets, and you can kind of interpret some of these words as names, like, and their words that they want to be remembered by. Though like I said, the further that you go in, the more of these like quotes that you see, and the more the older the language becomes. And eventually you kind of get to the end of this 15-foot hallway, and you're reading this writing above the door, and it's so old that you can't recognize the dialect.
That's interesting. Now, he'll pass along that information to Adrian and Sly Dog if just like, wow, this place is pretty old, man. It's like that back there, and he'll point towards the door. The writing on the wall back there is about 500 years old, and this is a whole lot older than that as they get to the end of the 15-foot corridor.
I want to try and ritual comprehend languages.
Okay. You ritual cast comprehend languages, and nothing interferes with you. And You start reading them.
Yeah. Because it may be common, but it's so old. It's basically another language.
So, as I said to Machiavelli, reading the ones along the wall, these are ancient paraphrases of just life lessons and notes that whoever had them was trying to leave behind messages for other people. So they're pretty typical. You could see most of these you could probably see on someone else's gravestone if you looked hard enough. Though above the door, it reads, "The Blood Lord's reign begins here."
That's never a good sign. And are these doors locked?
They're heavy, but they're not locked.
Can I open them?
Do you have more than 13 strength?
Yes.
Then you can. So you push the doors open, and you see the two females in the picture of the event page. Actually, for the sake of this video, I'll just screen share them again. If I can find them really quick. Should have probably did this ahead of time. Except I'm apparently blind and I can't see the picture.
Ooh, you're gonna die.
So I'll actually just screen share it on here. No one look at all my memes. So you see these two in the center of the room, and similar, what looks like armor and wielding a sword, you see a male kind of sitting on a throne, though he is white and covered and like I said, looks like he's wearing armor. The red spots that are on his armor, you can't see. You can only see this kind of black space in between the white slits. And the room is pretty large. It's about 80 feet by 80 feet. It's a large square room. In the middle, you notice that there's this huge circle in the floor. And it's got some ancient symbols on there. Mostly arcane, so comprehend languages won't help you identify what it is. Although, with the door opened, the two maidens look at you, and you notice immediately that they float off the ground. They stand about 10 feet tall, though they're very slender and look like they may only weigh about 200 pounds.
Hello.
I take it you're the Blood Lord.
No, we are not the Blood Lord, for he is there. And they gesture with just a motion of their hands to the one who's sitting in his throne right now. They say, though, we do wish to bring him back.
Not to be contrary or anything, but he's sitting right there. What do you mean bring him back?
He is lifeless in this state, and in order to bring him back, we need We need the blood of sufficiently powerful creatures.
Oh,
Is he a bad guy or good guy?
If we were going to turn him into a bad guy, do you think we would have summoned famous heroes?
Um,
No, not.
what is? What are your goals?
Do you know of the Pale Queen?
well, what's a Pale Queen?
She is a powerful vampiress who used to serve under our lord here. But in an act of betrayal, she rendered him inanimate and started a long feud between our two kinds. And now she sits in his throne, stealing from Illumina and all of its hard-earned resources to further gain her own power.
How much blood are we talking about?
It doesn't necessarily have to be blood. It just has to be the living essence of creatures.
How much are we talking about?
She gestures to the large circle in the floor, and you can assume that you need a lot of blood. Or supposed blood.
How many years is that going to take off my life?
She says, we know of 2 creatures that you can find actually living in the swamp. It wouldn't be too hard for such a powerful mage as yourself to find them. At least that's what we would assume.
Yeah.
Mac's gonna look around.
Okay, you don't really need to roll a perception check. And investigation check, you can already kind of see everything. So, what precisely are you looking for?
Any writings, any scrawlings, tapestries, anything like that, showing like the apocalypse, zombies rising, or undead ruling over man with whips and cracking the whip and kind of like you see the old hieroglyphs and whatnot from the ancient Egyptians, where you see people building stuff and like the
Okay.
Mahat and all that, lording over the humans, that kind of thing. Any doom and gloom type scenario, or anything in the room that would depict that things are going to go south if we assist these 2 maidens in their quest to revive this guy.
Okay. Roll me Arcana, roll me Religion, and roll me History.
Okay. We'll do Arcana first. An Arcana is going to be a 21.
Okay. So I'll just type that in there for you.
Religion. I don't think I have religion. No, I don't. But religion is going to be a 17. And you said history, right? And history is going to be a 13.
Okay. So you're walking around and you do see a lot of kind of hidden caches of paper. They're not too hidden, obviously, because there's nothing really in this room to hide them. So you do see a lot of these just large crates on the sides, and they're taken well care of. The swamp doesn't seem to have done too much damage to them. Looking inside, you do see some old, as well as the ancient tapestries that are kind of lingering around on the walls and the symbols. You do see a lot of scrolls and stuff, and they don't seem to hamper you as you search around through their stuff. So you realize while reading some of these scrolls and books, you see that these uh, they define themselves as vampires, but they don't seem to have the same living habits, as they still need blood, but they don't seem to bite anyone, and they doesn't look like they have any need to, though they still use what you think is magic to remove blood from them, and then they simply modify the memories of the person uh, gets who gets their blood drained so that they don't remember what happened and then left alone. So they seem to have a much safer method of draining blood, though looking over the notes, their method of getting it is a lot more painful, and it takes a lot more to feed one of these vampires. Religion check. It would tell you that uh, these vampires, at least from what their own writings. No, you can join in. Oh, okay. So these vampires, they don't seem, their hierarchy is a lot different than vampires. Like I said, they don't make spawns, so they have to end up creating more of these creatures, which means that they either made weaker or stronger than the others. And as you've noticed, they have one that they simply call the Bloodlord, which is one that they put the most effort into making to rule over them all and to settle disputes. He's not really much of a leader, more so just a moderator. And history, the history of the feud that's happening or has happened before is kind of vague, but it does, what they seem to say is evident in the research that you're able to discover now, is that they used to work together to kind of keep themselves hidden and to not wind up murdering any innocent bystanders of Illumina. But the Pale Queen got too selfish and greedy and ended up disabling the current Bloodlord, which is the one that sits in front of you. And she ended up taking his throne and rejecting these vampires, so to speak, and locking them away here.
Interesting. So yeah, no blatantly overt plans to dominate the world and bring about the fifth age or something, third age. Not sure which age we're in.
This one would be actually the seventh.
Okay, so no blatant plans to bring about the end of the seventh age of Erywood and usher in the rule of the vampire lords or anything like that. So he'll look around to the blood maidens and say, "Okay, so what is it exactly we have to kill in order to get enough blood for your cauldron there on the floor?"
It's just this. It's about maybe a foot deep, like 20-foot ring in the floor.
So, what kind of creature do you need in order to jumpstart your Bloodlord's heart there?
Well, we could use blood of humans, but that would be insufficient and would take, of course, hundreds of you just to even fill this thing. And it wouldn't guarantee that he would awaken. So, in being thoughtful of human lives, as we always have, we considered using a couple Trents. We know that Trents exist, but of course they can be pretty far and wide at some times. However, we know 2 of them that are nearby.
What is it? I asked, what is a trance?
A Trent is a fey creature that takes the form of a tree, and usually, and unfortunately, they do end up creating significant blessings to the wildlife that they surround. They are large tree-like creatures, and they are incredibly strong, and so is their magical powers, which is what we need.
Do you need them here alive?
No, but
Okay.
we need to make sure that their sap doesn't leave their body. So it's of utmost importance that you don't burn them either.
Can I burn them a little bit?
They say we need the sap. If you burn them to crisp, there won't be any sap for us to take. And of course, we only found the 2 Trents in the local area, and we had to leave to go find them. If you end up burning one to a crisp, that means you have to find any other Trents.
Do you have anything to help us to defeat them?
They kind of look at each other, and they say, not truly, no. We could offer you something, but you won't like it.
What?
One of them floats to the Blood Lord's throne. They reach behind it and move it over a bit. They pull out what seems to be a gleaming potion. It seems to be filled with this thick liquid. It looks like blood, but of course, if it was magical, it probably isn't. They then push the throne back, and they float over to you. And they say, "This is not something that you wish to drink if you continue your regular human way of living."
Is there a way that it is to be a vampire?
Can I take that potion from Sly Dog?
No.
They didn't give it to him. They're still holding it.
I am gonna. Nope. No, you are not taking that potion of vampirism.
Is that a fan?
They'll give it to you if you really want it, but they haven't told you what it does.
I'm gonna ask what it does.
They say it will turn you into one of us. But it's a very excruciatingly painful process.
And what are you?
They say we are similar to that of vampires, conscious undead, but we do not need our organs to function. However, in order for us to live, we need to bathe in blood.
Okay.
So after hearing that, Mac's gonna put 2 and 2 together and go, pointing at the 10-foot pit on the floor. So that's a bathtub.
She says, in essence, yes.
Ugh, okay, that's what I thought. Oh lordy.
She says it doesn't have to be particularly blood. It just has to be the essence of living creatures. We have survived, well, us two have survived for so long because we aren't truly one of them. We are just constructs, given the one of their essences to assume consciousness. However, our Lord, as well as other servants of ours, have either been slain or put in this dormant state. Unlike vampires, we don't become weakened when we dry up. We just go into a sort of sleep.
As Archmage of Illuma, I forbade you from taking that potion.
What? What do the Archmages have over me? I'm not a member of the guild, so. That's the problem.
They say they kind of drift away with the potion, and they say once you take this, you will no longer be living. You won't be able to enjoy many of the luxuries that you humans can enjoy, such as food or alcohol.
Oh. Fuck, no alcohol. Keep that potion.
They say it's also incredibly painful process, as all your organs will liquefy and you will spend perhaps an hour regurgitating it onto the floor.
Great. Yeah, I'm probably not gonna drink the potion then.
We thought as much. And the one holding the potion flies back behind the throne and puts it away. And then floats back in front of you.
Yeah.
We have another map for you to follow if you so need it.
That'd be helpful.
Okay. The one of them flies over to this box. She reaches in and doesn't have to go too far, just plucks something up from the top of the box and closes it. Then flies over and gives it to you. The map is very obviously magical, as you notice that there is these two moving X's in the swamp. Though, just watching them, you notice that this map is very close, like is at least only a day away from each other, and it looks like the X's are moving, but the map is so close to the two marks that you think it just might be them like swaying in the wind or something. Like they're not moving around, but it's very obvious that this map is not only giving a direction, but showing you the precise location.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So while you guys decide what to do, I will be right back.
Just go to.
I don't know anything about treants.
Let's just kill some trees, right?
I have no idea. I don't know anything about treants.
I have no idea either.
I have never encountered treants.
that makes 2 of us. I'm not really sure what a treant is, except what they said. A giant living tree, basically, I guess. I don't know. If they're living and they're sentient, I don't know. It depends upon what they are. I mean, it's like do you go around killing gold dragons or dryads or something like that simply because they exist? I don't know.
Do you want to roll an Arcana check?
Yeah, it'd probably be a good idea.
I did. I rolled a 12.
10 plus. I got a 19.
All right, so you know that Trents are, well, they're not really too great for the environment. They are part of it, and they're good creatures. So they do help in what ways they can. But it's not like they're casting plant growth or anything like that. They don't know any spells. They are known for their strength and their fortitude, but they are quite slow, at least for their size. But they are powerful, and they are capable of destroying a wall quite easily if they want to.
Huh. Yeah, so Mac will pass that information along. That's what I've heard about him anyway.
Oh shit. Oh. No reason to stand here and wait. And Slydron's gonna wave to the ladies and go.
Okay.
Well, I guess if one way or another we're doing something, might as well get to it.
I'm surprised nobody asked them why.
What's obvious?
Okay.
World domination.
Got him.
The ladies said they asked nicely. Why should I ask why?
Actually, if Mac was going to ask any question, it would be what. No, I don't. I'm trying to think of how to phrase it. The essence of the creature that has to be brought back has to be inherently good in nature in order for your bloodlord to be inherently good when it revives. I guess would be the best way of phrasing that.
They just nod their head to you. Yes.
Huh.
So we kinda, what do you call it? Transferred the good soul into him, right? Oh, yes.
Essentially.
And then, like, all right, so we go and kill whatever inherently good creatures to pour their essence into this bloodlord here, and then he's going to fight the evil, what did you call her, Dark Queen?
The Pale Queen.
Pale Queen. He's gonna like kick her ass and.
Well, he's going to try. As far as I know, as far as we know, we don't know what kind of empire she actually owns. No, we haven't returned to Illumina yet to assess the situation. We've been trying to get out of this tomb.
How long have you guys been trapped down here?
We haven't been able to observe the sun.
But you're vampires. You don't usually observe the sun.
Unlike the vampires akin to what you're used to, we are not vulnerable to the sun. However, unlike the vampires you would recognize, we stand out very easily. So we still prefer not to run around publicly.
So you can go out in the sun, but you sparkle.
She just kind of looks away, and she kind of looks at her body, which is like this kind of like flowerish dress around her, and she's like, "Yes, it's because we sparkle."
A vampire with an attitude. That's awesome.
Can we see that?
Yeah, you can see that they don't remotely look human. They're tall as hell.
Can we see them sparkle?
No, they're not sparkling. They're underground, first of all.
I'll try to put some light close to it.
Pretty sure it was sarcasm as well.
I don't understand that, so.
So you cast light on them, and nothing really happens.
I haven't touched, but yeah.
They don't sparkle.
Of course it's not going to work. It has to be sunlight.
I want to see it.
I think they were being sarcastic. I don't think they actually sparkle.
Damn you, I want to see it. Don't be a bus till.
They say you won't see it because it won't happen.
Aww.
Alright, well, I've heard enough. I think if we're gonna get out there and start looking, we need to get out there and start looking. And with that, Mac will just be like, alright, well, see y'all later. Turn around and walk out.
Yeah.
Okay. So using the map, you can easily find one of the Trents. And of course, it's just sitting there. It's actually pretty deep in the water, but it is just sitting there, and it looks like a tree. Just by looking at it, you can't really tell much difference from anything else.
How far away is the other one?
About a day away.
Okay.
So we know there's that tree?
Yeah, the map. Well, at least the map is pointing it out to you. You can't really tell if it's accurate or not, but it appears to be.
Okay. I am going to cast protection from evil and good on myself.
Okay.
I throw a stone at it to see about it trying to react.
Are you making like an attack against it, or you just throwing a rock?
At a poke thing.
Okay, so you just toss this rock into it, and it doesn't budge.
I move closer to it.
Okay, you start getting into thicker water, and it's starting to become difficult terrain. But you do get closer to it. It still doesn't move.
Is it alive?
It, like I said, it's not moving. So, unless you have some means of making it move,
Dust probably doesn't wait on it, right?
no, it's too big. It's a huge creature.
All right. Now just step away for a minute. Has anybody done anything yet?
Adrian's getting pretty close to the supposed Trent.
I'm gonna use my sling and try to hit it with that side.
I got a 26.
To perception or
To smack with my staff.
okay, yeah, you hit it.
It's that's 16 points of damage.
Bludgeoning.
Yeah.
All right, you smack it, and it says, "Oh, why would you do that, little one?"
Hey, like, are you guys sure you want to do this?
The Trent is evidently confused.
No, because really, think about it for a second. There's this tree, and it's beneficial to the environment, and it's not inherently evil. Are we really sure we want to kill two of these in order to give them to a couple of undead things? Is that really something we want to do?
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't that be inherently evil in and of itself?
Well, I mean, just transfer, so you're not killing.
They're going to drain its essence. It's going to die.
Transfer sounds more nice.
Well, to
Oh, they
Well, to
just
be-
need to. They don't have to take all of it.
remember,
can
they
give up
do
a
say
couple-
they have the ability to take blood from humans and not kill them. You
Yeah.
think the same thing could probably be possible to Trents?
Yeah. And I can supplement a couple decades of my life to keep the Trent alive.
So we only have to subdue it. We don't have to kill it.
Oh,
Even
Yeah.
if you convinced it to go, that would work even better.
Yeah. See, I don't really want to fight. Meaning Machiavelli. Machiavelli doesn't really want to kill or whatever something that's beneficial, one, to the environment, and two, who for all intents and purposes, due to what he's been able to recall through his memory, is a good type of creature. That's not something he would do, even though he's not inherently a good character. He's not just going to go out and say, "Oh, hey, look, you're beneficial to somebody else, so we're just going to kill you now." You know, that kind of thing. Especially something that's sentient.
Can we? Is it possible to convince you to come with us?
He says, "Well, you kind of just hurt me just now."
yeah. Why?
You look dead, so I was making sure you were alive.
Sorry about that, and
We threw a rock at you and you didn't move, so
Hit me all the time.
Burn 4, it's 9, 12. All right, so
You only
Max.
took half damage from me, so.
All right, well, Mac's going to pour 4 psi points into the treant in order to use his healing touch and heal the damage. It's like, we're sorry, we didn't actually mean to hurt you. This crazy map of ours said that, well, you were a treant, but you looked like a tree. I mean, yeah, obviously, I know you're a treant. You're supposed to look like a tree. But when Sly Dog here hit you with the pebble, you didn't move or anything, so we weren't really sure. And Adrian, he kind of gets carried away every now and again. So, we're sorry. We didn't mean to hurt you at all. And hopefully you'll forgive us. And we would like your assistance in helping to combat some undead evil that's in this area. And if you would come with us back to this place where there's some guardians who are trying to get this undead fighter warrior to combat the white queen or pale queen or something, who's like a vampire that's killing a lot of people in Illumina, that would be great. And it won't kill you or anything. Yeah, would you mind coming with us? And that's going to be like a persuasion roll of 26.
Okay. He thinks about it and he says, vampires fighting vampires. That's something you don't hear every day.
I know, right? And then he'll relate the history that he read while he was doing his investigations and all the pertinent information that he discovered while, kind of rifling through their stuff. And then, of course, all the stuff that they said to us, the party, and be like, so what do you say? I mean, because they didn't kill us outright, and they didn't, honestly, they didn't say anything about killing anybody. And they're just trying to stop the person who's actually killing all the people in Illumina.
Well, I would hate to have not been able to help save people's lives. I think it would be a wise idea. And he uproots himself. And he says, where do I need to go?
Well, we have to go. Wait, okay, what do I call you? Like, do you have a name?
Rude. I'm rude.
Every time.
Every time. Okay.
His name is Maple Tip.
Maple Tip. Okay. Maple Tip. There's another treant in the swamp here. Do you happen to know him or her? I don't know. Genders with trees.
Do fey creatures have genders, right?
Yeah, they do. He says, yeah, I know her. Charter.
Well, we have to go talk to Chardroot because apparently they need the combined cooperation of both of you in order to be able to do the summoning thing so that they can bring their undead warrior fighter person back to life. What did they call him again, Adrian?
The Blood Lord.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it was Fancy Night, but yeah.
He says, it shouldn't be too hard to convince her.
Okay, so we need to go over there and and get her, and then we can bring both of y'all back to their place, and we can do the summoning thing so that the guy can be revived and hopefully defeat this Pale Queen, and then I don't know. After that, it'll be happily ever after or something. They don't seem to want to kill or hurt anybody. They just want to seem to be left alone, or at least they've been left alone for at least the last 500 years, I think.
Well, their delivery guy wasn't so lucky.
What about some painkillers? You have some?
What? Painkillers?
Yeah, because they say they're kind of gonna hurt, right?
I have no idea.
Mm.
I don't think so anyway, because they said that they send them back.
Yeah, the what you call it? They wipe the memory about it because it hurt more in the other vampires too.
Yeah.
Well, let's let them explain all the necessities and everything once everybody's there in the same place, and then that way it's not hearsay and speculation and all this kind of stuff. So, Mac will be like hooking his thumb, like, "Hey, let's go! Come on, don't say too much," and then because he's really hoping that that nobody gets hurt, especially the treants or him.
Since we're going the same direction, is it possible for me to ride on you?
He says, I don't see why not.
Are you a maid?
What?
Are you a male? Mabel.
Yes, I am.
Is Chad something your ex-girlfriend? I don't hope she met on you.
What's a girlfriend?
Former mate.
She's my current mate.
Oh. Nice.
Yes,
How many mates do you have?
I think 3 so far.
Oh, I want to be her too.
He seems more confused than anything. He says, "Well, I don't know why. We don't spend any time together or anything.
Oh,
I just shake my leaves and hope the spores get to where they need to go."
So yeah, he busts a literal nut.
He thinks about it and he's like, "Well, yes, I guess I do."
Oh lordy, that's funny. Okay, so off to see the female treant, right?
So
Right.
you guys rest while it continues walking, and you arrive when you wake up.
Cool.
And Chardroot uproots herself, and of course, seeing that one of her mates has approached her, and she says, "What are you doing here? I thought you were resting." He says, "These mortals have convinced me to do some other good for a change, and I thought it would be exciting to bring you along." And then it's obvious that her gaze is kind of fixed on you 3.
Mac will wave. Hi. Hello, Chartroot. I'm Machiavelli, and these are my companions. That one over there in the pointy hat is Adrin, and this one here is Sly Dog. And
Sly Dog.
good morning.
Sly Dog gonna bow down and say, "My lady."
Well, I'm not a lady, so I don't get it. Also, you're not a dog. And she just kind of looks over to the one you're riding, and he just shrugs. Says, "Humans, lovely,
Yeah.
what lovely creatures."
Yeah, they're strange. Although I'm technically not human, and neither is the pointy-hatted one over there.
Mm. Charter just laughs with the other Trent, and they say, "Like we notice the difference. 100 years, 700 years. It's still too short for us."
Wow. Wait, you mean you guys live longer than elves do?
Sometimes.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Some Fey creatures are eternal.
Actually, most of them are.
I had no idea. I thought they lived like relatively lifespan lives like elves or but that's cool. So, Chardroot, we were approached, I guess it had been a couple days ago.
Yep.
And we found some, well, for lack of a better word, undead, but they're like vampires, but they're not. And I did some research and some investigation, and we talked to these two. They're called Maidens, and they're trying to revive their lord. And the purpose of all of this is to combat somebody called the Pale Queen, which is a really evil vampire in Illumina that's like taking humans and all sorts of other humanoids and like killing them for their blood, obviously, because they're vampires and all that. And the maidens are trying to get the Lord up and running in order to combat and kill this Pale Queen. But in order to do that, they need volunteers to donate some of their good, but it has to be good. It can't be like, oh yeah, we'll go and take something and it makes it evil. Because if the essence is not good in nature, then the Blood Lord thing won't be good and won't fight the Pale Queen. So what I'm asking is, would you join Maple Tip here and donate some of your goodness, your essence, is what they called it, I guess. It's like and sap, a little bit of your sap, in order to get this guy like revived, so that he can go and fight this vampire chick called the Pale Queen. And that persuasion is 24.
Okay. You have her easily convinced. Unlike Maple Tip, he was enthusiastic, but you could tell he wasn't totally convinced. Charred Root is just utterly convinced. She says, "A chance to help many humans and defeat vampires. Why didn't you say so?" And she, of course, gets up and pushes herself out of the ground. And she says, "Where do we need to go?"
I direct them back to the sunken temple.
Okay. So you guys travel. It takes a day. You guys sleep through it. So it's been a total of 6 days.
Mhm.
And the Trents, obviously, the doors are a little small for them, so they have to squeeze through. But they do so. It's very difficult for them.
Sorry for the narrowness. They don't build them like they used to.
And he says, "This is so exciting. It's been quite some time since I've entered a human structure before." And eventually they get into the main chamber that you need to go into. It takes about an hour of, for you, just simple watching, but for them it's a pretty arduous struggle. But they do eventually get in there, and the maidens direct them to where they need to go. And the Trents notice them. Let me see if they can guess what they are. Nope. And nope. So the Trents, they don't know what the difference is. So they walk over and they just comment on the Blood Maiden's beautiful flowery look. And the maidens, of course, offer them the best room that they can give them. And they give them the warnings that they warned you, that they said about you to you two, that it's going to be very painful, but it shouldn't hurt. It should not kill them.
Yeah. And I make the offer. Is it possible to take some of my lifespan to take the ease off of them?
The Blood Maidens look at each other and they say, We don't want to take your blood, but if you wish to partake, and you can see them actually sniffing towards you, and they say, though you're magical, are you good?
Yeah, I'm a neutral good character.
They say, actually, your blood may be useful as well. And
Everything I do, I always try and go for the betterment of people.
they say, very well. And they offer you to stand at the edge of the ring. And you notice them using some very, I wouldn't call it powerful magic, but it's significant. And especially different from yours. The one that they cast first is called Thin the Blood, and how you read it. And when you're watching them cast it, and you can see that the Trents, you can hear this kind of wood getting cut up inside of them, and they start just vomiting out this sap from their mouths, and it's landing in the ring, and the Trents are obviously very displeased about how painful it was. They don't complain too much because they were warned about it beforehand. And it does actually fill up a significant amount of the ring, and it's pretty much full at this point. Though they now look to you, Adrin, and they say, do you wish to partake still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as you don't take more than 50 years.
They say it won't take any of your lifespan, just your blood, that is all. And the one casts Thin the Blood on you. So you can choose to fail the Constitution save.
Yeah.
Okay. You take only 12 points of slashing damage as you feel these cuts open up what feels like your veins, and you just spew out the blood through your mouth.
Slider asked the maidens about it to learn to cast that.
They look to you and they say it is forbidden magic. Magic that is entrusted to our kind only.
Oh.
Also, casting it for mortals such as yourself can also be incredibly painful, which is why only we cast it.
Okay.
Like the damage that the treants took, like I'm guessing they took a significant amount of damage, yes?
Not from what you can tell. No, let me just roll for the damage that they took.
Well, it's not really necessary to know how much damage they took per se. It's just when it's all said and done, Mac would go over to the Treants and then to Adrin and use what psi points he has available, which would be all 44 if necessary, in order to try to mend the wounding that's been done through the casting of that spell on them. Because he doesn't want any of them to suffer, even though it's the greater good and whatnot. It's still, if it's painful, it sucks. So he's going to try and heal all three of them if possible. And if there's any like exhaustion levels or anything like that, he can help with that as well.
Well, actually, I was reading the ability again, and they do actually get a level of exhaustion.
Okay, so he'll burn 21 psi points on Restore Vigor, which will immediately remove one level of exhaustion from each of them, and then the other 23 psi points he'll use to heal.
Okay.
Heal the damage, so that they're not like exhausted and in pain for any longer than necessary.
So they are relieved by the healing that you've given them.
And he'll look at the trances like, sorry.
They say, no, you warned us beforehand, and we trust in your judgment. And you now look at you and everyone else looks into the Blood Maidens as they kind of pick up their supposed lord, and they drag him into the center of the ring, and they put him down in it.
Does it look like they're having a hard time lifting him?
No. At least not between the both of them. They just simply just kind of drag his feet in at first and then lay him down on his stomach. And the stone pattern begins to light up, and it looks like 3 lines. It forms the ring, and then there's 3 lines that go to a 3-pointed triangle. And when the triangle fully lights up, the large stone circle in the center of the ring sinks down, and it completely submerges him in this large tub. And in moments, you notice that the sap and what little blood is in there comparably starts draining into him, and the blackened slits on his like flowing armor start to glow red again, and he slowly starts pushing himself up to his feet. And once the sap and the blood have completely drained, like it's bone dry again, the ring rises up, becomes even with the small indent where the ring was, and then the full stone ring rises up and becomes flat with the ground again. And all that there is the markings that there were before when the ritual started. The Blood Lord is now looking over everyone else, and he looks to his maidens. And he gives out his first order. He says, "Make sure the Trents know nothing of this." And the Trents are a little confused, but then they get and then the maidens turn to face them, and they cast Modify Memory on them. And the Trents kind of seem to try to resist the magic, but they fail, and the one then they both cast Command on them, and then they say, "Go home." You remember nothing of this. Everything that happened in the last 3 days did not happen. And the Trents, obviously, are forced to agree, and they leave. Of course, it's a struggle, but they leave. The Blood Lord stands before you, and he says, "So you're the mortals I have to thank for this?"
Yeah.
Apparently.
Good. It's nice to see that you understand the threat of the Pale Queen.
There are a lot of threats. Sometimes it's hard to keep track.
Especially
Lord, ain't that the truth. So you're like at least 500, 600 years old, right?
I am the 6th generation lord. When I was supposed to be making the 7th, my apprentice of sorts, which we now call the Pale Queen, or at least I understand that's her name, and calls herself, she betrayed me and put me in an inanimate state. I am nearly 250 years old, and I was destined to die nearly 50 years ago.
Okay, so times have changed a little bit because you've been inanimate for, well, I just put it to you this way. The very latest update on the wall out there by the door is 500 years old. So, yeah, you've been out for about 500 years or so is the best of my reckoning. How long you've actually been inanimate. Your maidens here have said that they haven't been outside to monitor the sun or the stars to get an accurate read on how many years it has been. But you've been out for a while, and some things have changed, but one thing that hasn't is Illumina's always got enemies.
He says 500 years. To think
Give or take.
this could have been the 11th generation. Well, we'll have to remedy this. Of course.
Say, you're not gonna alter our minds or anything, are you? Because you would really be, like, remiss. We already know who you are, and we've already agreed to help you. If you like to erase our minds, you'll have to go through the trouble of convincing us to do this all over again.
He looks to the maidens and he says, "If it were up to me, I wouldn't have had your involvement in the first place." However, he looks around the tomb and he says, with noticing the obvious, he seems to be expecting a lot more people, but he doesn't see as many as he's expecting. And he says, "It seems that my entourage has been slain or has remained dormant elsewhere. So I understand why they had to use outside help to accomplish their goal."
I do have one question for your maidens.
Feel free to ask them.
Yeah. Who was the messenger you sent?
He is a man that we found dying while we were looking for the Trents. We searched through his mind and we discovered your supposed guild of heroes, and we thought it would be wise to summon your aid. Unfortunately, he was dying, and we didn't have any magic to help him. So we gave him our gold and hoped that it was enough to attract you. We wrote a letter with what few empty missives we had left, and we sent him on his way. And unfortunately, we can't make him live forever. He had a month to get there, and we froze his body in time. Though he could still sustain injuries, they wouldn't happen to him until he completed his goal, or of course, time ran out for him.
Yeah.
When you were searching his mind, did you happen to come up with a name?
The name is kind of unimportant, but from what we can tell, he was just a farmer who got lost.
Was the family might want to know what happened to him. He kind of turned into a puddle of goo at the doorstep of the guild hall. I'm sure his family would like a little bit of closure is all. Mac will shrug it, after he says that, and it's like, it's not really super stupid important, but, if your relative was missing, you'd probably want some closure too.
She blinks at you. She's a little confused. And the Bloodlord says they're constructs. They do not have the concept of relatives.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
He says, however, I do. And he looks to the maiden and he says, if you have any evidence and know of any names of this family, please tell him. And her demeanor seems to almost change immediately, similar to that of a golem's, and she says, well, I found this. And she gives you what looks like some sort of family deed.
Okay.
And she says he was intending to sell it for gold to bring his family into the city, as his family was getting run down by wildlife in the swamp.
All right, that's something that needs to be looked into immediately then, but that can wait until after we're done here.
There should be plot number on the deed to be able to find the name of the homestead.
Yeah, it tells you name and where they live.
Yeah.
The address is a little vague because it's a swamp and the area is kind of large, but it does have a road.
Okay, cool.
The Bloodlord says, is the Pale Queen still alive in the city? It would be.
Well, I think there's more than one vampire in the city, so...
Good. Wouldn't be a blood feud if there was only one vampiress.
I think it's another... I think the other vampire is a guy.
Either way, if he serves the Pale Queen, then he will be slain too. I cannot afford to spare any of her spawns.
Well, can't argue with you there. If they're going around killing people and just, drinking blood, eating flesh, and, being merry for tomorrow more humans die, then we're right there with you. They need to go down.
Says, let me tell you, I believe you have questions, I'm sure, of her, at least when I was around. So perhaps I can answer a few of them.
Yeah, first question is, who is she? I mean, there's always mumblings of people disappearing and, corpses being found and that kind of stuff, but what's her, what is it, slave trafficking or just capturing people off the street?
Well, she started out as an innocent girl, a potential necromancer. She was shunned, and of course, she had difficulties in her magical community at the time. And being that magic was pretty much non-existent when I was around, even being a wizard was very frowned upon. And being a necromancer did not help her cause either. We ended up faking her death and pulling her out of society's eyes. And in exchange, she was to be my apprentice and servant. Everything seemed to have been going well, and we ended up being part of a council of other vampires. As you can now know that there's two breeds that were once living here. The other vampires thought it very well to make her one of their own, and I allowed it to happen as we were an alliance back then. but it's evident now that they can't be trusted. As you've probably already know now, she betrayed me and ripped out my heart. She used to have a bad habit of kidnapping people and turning them into undead, and not even the cunning or intelligent kind that could be manipulated properly.
So, was that literally or figuratively ripped out your heart?
Literally.
Ouch. Sounds painful.
Yes, which is why I've been dormant this entire time.
You don't have a heart now?
I do.
Do you have two?
No, I have one.
Okay, so this Pale Queen is somewhere in the city. How exactly are you going to go about finding her? Are you just going to show up on the doorstep and challenge her to a duel or something?
The thing that I know, at least used to know of the Pale Queen, is that despite her ambition towards magic and manipulation and social encounters, she is not one for architecture or design. That will be her ultimate downfall, I assume, as I will use this knowledge of ancient tunnels and passageways through the ruins below the city to take my advantage and break apart her very base of operations. Once I do that,
What's the sound about ruins below the city?
the ancient ruins below the city, many of it is locked away behind ancient magic, even older than us. But we have managed to open some of them, the weaker barriers open, so that we could travel through the city without being noticed. In my generation of owning as being Bloodlord, magic was slowly coming around, and we needed to travel deeper into the city to avoid paladins and clerics. The sewers were just not enough to continue passing by unnoticed. And before you ask, we found nothing of value in these weaker passageways.
Anything of arcane knowledge?
He says, we'd be willing to trade with you what we know of the barriers. But first, we must deal with this threat. If the Pale Queen finds out this knowledge from a mortal, she could potentially use that knowledge to unlock the other barriers. And if she were to find out what's hidden beneath the city, and it was some sort of powerful relic or source of power, she would abuse that to its fullest extent. That I know for sure.
You know what'd be funny is if Illumina was actually Megaton and there's a giant nuclear bomb in the ruins, like protected by all sorts of magical seals. That would be funny.
The demon nuclear Armageddon?
Yes, that one locked away. Be like, oh, Megaton, time to, let's go ahead and set off the bomb. And where's the 10 penny towers? Oh, that would be Domia.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Infernal calling the great demon thermonuclear warhead.
That's funny. So, what, if any, assistance more do you need from us?
He thinks about it. He says, I don't have a lot of information right now. But as you've noticed, I don't have that many soldiers to work with. What would help us greatly is if you found any dormant ones that are available to us. Unlike the vampires that you know, when we are slain, we don't truly ever die. We can still regenerate even in most broken of shambles. However, we still need blood to be raised from our broken forms.
Any body that isn't moving gets buried.
Provided that the layer's actually been found. Do you have like a map of these layers, or can you give us the locations of them? Maybe we can go search them out, see if any of your entourage, as you called them, might be dormant in one of those layers, and bring them back here, and you can do the bloodbath thing.
Roll me persuasion.
23.
He says, I think it would be unwise for me to share that information with you.
Okay.
If what you said happened to that servant outside of your guild, then I think the Pale Queen knows that we are making our turn.
Hmm.
And I would not have her target you and gain useful information out of you.
Okay, no worries.
Do we get a reward to return you back to life?
Yeah, we already
got
got
it
it.
already.
2,000 minus 10% for Pinkus. And
That's-
10,000 is going to the crafters.
Yeah. Yeah, the crafters are gonna make a bunch of furniture for the temple that's currently under construction.
Cool.
But I asked him about you have any.
Probably a bunch of pews and that. And furniture for other rooms.
Works for me.
Excellent. So now that it seems that everything is out of the way, I will trust you won't speak to too many, only your trusted allies, if you ever bring this up to anyone.
Yeah.
I ain't telling nobody nothing about nothing. If you guys need help, we have our memories intact, then we can help you. It's no worries. Otherwise, I ain't saying shit.
I whispered to one of the maidens. You might want to work your magic on Sly Dog.
As soon as the one hears it, they both look at him.
What?
What? Jeez.
I did not do anything.
All right. Okay.
I don't know, ask the Blood Lord how to get one of those maidens. Or is that only.
So the when you ask the Blood Lord that, the two maidens look at him, and he says, "Do it." They start casting Modify Memory. Roll me 2 Wisdom saves if you want to try to resist.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Let's see. 16 and 18.
Okay. That's a double fail. So they eliminate the memories of recent events up until you leave the guild. You leave the guild and you know you're supposed to leave to outside, but you don't know where, and you don't know why. And you won't remember anything until you return to the guild.
Do you Adrin turn evil now?
Hmm?
Do Adrin turn evil because he removed my memory without my knowledge?
No,
Well, no.
Why not?
I
It's
was
more-
protecting
People. It's
me
not him.
yourself.
It is knowledge.
It's more of a neutral act. Sure, he kind of got you harmed in a very minor way.
Oh, PvP!
It's not PvP because the monsters did it, and it's also mostly for your protection.
Ugh.
Because if you don't know anything, then she won't probably target you.
Yeah. You are not a threat to the vampire lord. You will not be you would not be in our ire.
And if you don't know shit, then nobody's going to take you and torture you. They're going to look and scry in your mind or whatever. You don't know shit.
What
Yeah.
did it do it? Try to torture me to get knowledge.
Well, if you encounter her, she probably won't need to torture you. She'll just talk to you, and you would probably try to tell her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Either being charmed or just in character. By the way. So Sly Dog's kind of like, he doesn't like, he does look dazed, but he's not like slumped over. And the Bloodlord says he will remember that he's supposed to get paid and that he left to do something, but he won't remember anything that happened here.
No problem. We'll make sure he gets back and he gets his money.
He nods his head to you, and he says, and be very careful. She's not one to take many forms, but she is capable of doing so. Be careful where you speak, and watch for bats.
Yeah.
Watch for bats and, yeah, shape changing. All right.
He says, she is also capable of having an undead servant at her side. So if you sense undead nearby, be very careful. You could be being watched.
All right. Not
If
too
you-
many. Hey, hang on a second.
Yes?
Was it? You know, what's his name? The emissary? I wonder if they're in league with each other. When you get out of here and start doing your investigations and whatnot, there's this guy called the emissary or something along that line who was
I
building.
want to say the architect, but
Yeah, that's it. The architect. And he was building a place covered in illusions with exploding bricks like glyphs or something, and he was using undead to construct the place, unbeknownst to the city council. So that might be a lead for you, or it could be somebody else completely. I don't know. So
well,
there's a tidbit of information
that
for you.
person was as far as I know, person was a powerful necromancer.
I don't know who the architect is.
Well, I'm just saying the guy was using undead blatantly, so I don't know. They may be in league with each other, or it may be nothing. I'm just trying to give you like a head start on where you might start looking. That's all.
Do you have some paper and ink?
He kind of looks at everything around him. He says, "Probably not."
Okay. I think I have some. I'm gonna draw down the teleportation sigil to the architect.
And he says, he looks at it, and he says, "Perhaps we'll pay him a visit." He says, "And perhaps he'll live."
Well, anyway, that's all I got. I just happened to remember it. So, again, if you need help, you know where to find us. Just mind the wards. They're pretty powerful wards around the guild hall, so undead can't get in and whatnot. So, send
The
somebody
ward
who's
is
alive.
not against undead.
Oh, it's not?
It's a ward against evil.
Oh.
Well, undead are typically evil, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I guess we'll be on our way.
Very well. If we make contact with you, it will be through similar means. However, we might be able to find more willing subjects.
Ones that don't turn into a puddle of goo as soon as they're done would probably be best. Although I understand the extenuating circumstances now. Yeah, living messengers would probably go far less unnoticed.
Okay.
Or
We gotta stop to make on our way back.
yeah, we've got to go find this family and get them into Illumina, so that they're not. Hopefully, they're not all dead already.
Well, the swamp is a dangerous place, and he got lost.
True enough.
I heard someone left a horse here, and it got devoured by a crocodile.
So I'll just hasten this process. You guys do find the house. It takes you 2 days, so it's been 8 days so far to find it. It is completely ransacked, and you do find signs that there was people here, but it's been obvious that there was a fight there. Not a very difficult fight for what is potentially the murderers. But the family, it seems that from what you can tell is that the family was killed and then they went off hunting for the man. And you see that whoever was chasing the man had already killed them.
Well,
And by
shit.
following the tracks, you can tell that the farmer, he wasn't aware that he was being chased at first, but then when he realized, he started running. Obviously, it didn't go too well for him.
Dora's family.
This place has nothing of value, and the farm, of course, has seen
Much better days.
Severely ruined.
Yeah. Well, and that was a bust. Let's head back to Illumina.
Yeah.
So, Sly Dog. Oh. Yeah.
I'm just going to teleport us back.
Okay. So, Sly Dog, when you enter the sanctum of the Archmage, that's when you wake up from your kind of haze.
Oh, well, mission accomplished. It's too bad that the family didn't survive.
What family?
The family we were sent out to find, and Mac will hold up the deed to the land. We found this on the farmer out in the guy that gooified. And we went to investigate Well, the property and to see if we could find the family. The only problem is the family was already dead.
What? I don't remember anything.
Well, you did get hit on the head, so your memory may be a little bit fuzzy.
Yeah.
I don't hit my head.
It seems fine.
Yeah.
Inside.
Well, of course, I healed you.
Okay, roll insight. And you two can roll deception.
All right. All right. 23.
120.
Okay, Adern?
Did I say anything?
Oh no, you just kind of agreed. So, I mean, you don't really remember anything, so it's hard to tell if he's telling the truth or not, though you feel like he's being trustworthy at this moment.
Oh, okay.
So,
Those are not the droids you're looking for.
they're not what you're looking for. So, good job. You guys actually didn't have to kill anyone, which is surprising because that's not usually how things go.
Diplomacy for the win!
Yeah. Sly, don't forget to go to Pincus and pick up your before he turned to goo, he offered payment to go
Check on his family and
go
whatnot.
check on his family and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Then I draw up to Pinterest to say I need to get paid for cheat up the family thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get there first and say,
Well, you guys show up at the same time,
uh,
and when so he says,
well, I can move faster than him, so
so you're going to run?
Well, okay, honestly, the bag
I'm
of
gonna
gold
get
and
Mac to
everything.
distract him, and then I'm gonna haste myself to get myself a start.
I mean,
Okay.
Pincus didn't know that much to begin with. All he had was the missive and the money, and the dude that had turned to goo at the doorstep. So it's not like he's going to be able to contradict what we say anyway, because we found the deed to the house, etc., etc., from the guy that turned to liquid outside.
Yeah.
Mac's not worried.
I'm just trying to get Pincus to go along with the story that we made up.
Okay,
That's easy
so
enough to do.
so with your spells and obviously start running. I don't know if Sly Dog would start running because maybe he thinks he's going to take more gold than him. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm running around
Mhm.
that. And I don't
So-
think it's fucking weird. I'd
Yeah,
ask
so
him to run up to Pinterest before him.
so you
Hey,
guys
where are you guys going?
run
All right,
as
I'll
fast
see you
as
later.
fucking can.
Mhm.
And Adrian, I'll say you have about a minute to explain what's going on to Pincus.
Yeah.
He's
Oh.
like,
Max
you look a little
Mac's
tired.
Totally not
Yeah.
running. He's walking.
Yeah. I say to Pincus, Sly has his memory wiped. The adventure was, we found a deed on the guy. The note was for us to rescue his family. He paid in advance. But the people threatening his family already got to them.
Okay, and lethargy hits. And he's like,
And I just collapse.
he's like, right. Hey, this magic broom kind of sweeps over you and pushes you aside, and he's like, right. So the deed. Okay, hold on. He stops writing and sits back in his chair, and he's like, okay, Sly Dog got his memory modified because of some farmer that was.
Farmer's cover story.
Oh, okay. Right. I'm not entirely understanding, but I think I got you. So, the lethargy wears off, and you can take a seat or something.
Yeah.
Sly Dog, you get in.
I'm gonna slam the door and say, "This one don't need to get more pay than me."
Well, easily done. I counted the coins myself. You want your gold coins?
Yeah, sure.
Here you go. And it's just this large sack. He says 2,000 gold.
Thanks. I'm not gonna do that. That's weird. You're gonna run.
And then Mac will show up however
I'm-
long
I'm an
afterwards it takes to
I
get
have
there.
things to do.
He says, "Yeah, Adrin's a busy mage. By the way, here's your cut as well." And he gives Adrin 2,000 gold.
Yeah.
I have a. Nah, I don't have a dressing for this. There was something that happened. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I give Pinkus the deed, saying I have no idea what to do with this.
You don't have the deed. Mac's got the deed. And he's still walking toward the guild hall.
So, Mac, you finally get to Pincus's office, and he's got this huge chest full of gold that he's counting, and he's got two chests full of gold. One's significantly smaller than the other, and he's got a large sack of gold on his desk. And he hears you come in, and he says, "Oh, yeah, here's your cut." As I
Cool.
promised.
Found this on the dead guy.
Okay,
Went to go check on his family. His Sly Dog and Adrin are still there, right?
Maybe Adrin. I think Sly Dog would leave, but
No reason for me to be there.
Oh, okay. Well, then Mac will walk in and he'll pick up his bag of gold and he'll set the deed down on Pincus's desk. Through the course of the job, we came across the deed to the liquefied dead guy's land. We looked for the family. Family obviously was dead. Somebody got to him before we could get to them. Not really sure what you want done with this, and I have already got land up in up north of here, so I obviously can't afford to be paying more taxes. I don't know if it goes back to the city or what.
well, first we have to send it to the city and see if they can make any claims for any relatives that may be out there, and then we have to prove their legitimacy if somebody does step forward. But if it's not, then we can claim it, or we can give it back to the city. Though he's looking at the deed's address, and he says, if I recall, that's not very good farming land. So
Yeah,
I'll
it's
just leave
it's
it back
pretty
to the
crap
city.
out there.
Yeah.
So, I'll hand it back to the city. And he says, unless there's anything else, he passes Mac his gold.
Yeah.
Nope, that's it, boss. Oh.
After Mac leaves, I'm going to explain the real situation to Pinkus.
He just raises his hand. He says, I don't need to know. I don't want to know. I've left that life behind me. I just want to sit here, count my coins, and do my legal jargon. Please. He says, you're an archmage now. You're significantly more powerful than me. You can handle it.
Mm.
All right.
Well,
So,
Pinkus only has 3 more levels of wizard more than I have, so
So basically
that's not
what
that
you're
far off.
so basically what you're saying is Pincus just said, "Don't know, don't queer, transferring."
yeah.
Righteous.
Yeah.
And so you guys gain 2 experience for completing today's event. You guys get 1 inspiration as well as your gold.
Holla holla what?
And none of you guys wanted to take take the mysterious potions, which is for the best, really.
I kind of want, but yeah.
You don't remember any of that.
Yeah,
So.
but the stupid admins that don't say it's a lot of stuff.
If you did that, you would have NPC'd yourself. Just gonna say that right now. If you failed to save on it. It basically turns you into one of them, and then basically you're subservient and very prone to suggestion from the Bloodlord.
That's okay.
Yeah. Still got a ways to go with Mac. I don't think I want to NPC him just yet.
So, with that, that's the adventure. So, thank you guys for playing, and hopefully you had fun. It was
Oh,
mostly
yeah.
just role playing and talking, but yeah. And I'll stop the broadcast.
Yeah.